Welcome to Within You, the podcast. This is where we together explore that unknown space, the liminal space between here and there, between now and what the heck is next. I like to talk about it as a crossing through the threshold, walking. You know that part when you walk through the room? You've actually got a foot in each one. You're under the threshold. You're leaving the room, but you're not quite in the next room. That's what we do here together, is talk about that space, that transformational space, when you're creating that next room. And when you don't quite know where you're going, but you want to have focused, intentional attention in that direction. And so we are playing, experimenting, discovering this path together, because it is a process that all humans go through throughout their lives. A really funny metaphor that I use is that we are not dinner. You're not going to be done. Like, there's no done to growing up. There's no done to growing. There's no done to becoming. You can stay still if you want, and it's not fun, and you can feel it if you are. But we have this intrinsic sort of pull forward, and that's what you're following, is either a hunch that something's shifting or an active awareness that you're going in a specific direction. I am so happy, you don't know how happy I am, that you have allowed me in your ear. Hopefully we're already friends and you know me pretty well. If you don't know me, I should introduce myself. Yo soy Vivian Carrasco. I am a wisdom teacher. I love that language, and I'm becoming it more and more. So, I call myself a mindset mentor, because a lot of what this is shifting our mindset, changing our perspective, introducing ourself to another world, not that physical earth world like I used to think of when I was little. It's like, I'm going to leave this world and go to another one. No, when my mind changes, my world changes. And I am really proud of the fact that I'm here in Fort Worth, Funky Town, Texas. That's me. And this is where you are. And hopefully I'm welcoming you back. If you're a new friend, I'd really love to know how you found me. A lot of that stuff happens organically, and I've become more curious about pinpointing exactly how that works. If you want to introduce yourself, send me an email at viviancarrasco.com, or feel free to follow me on your favorite social platform. My favorite is Instagram. I do that. Personally, I publish regularly on YouTube, and I do have a Facebook page that when I'm inspired, I post there. But the best way for you and I to get in touch is for you to visit the website and scroll down to wherever you see a place for you to drop in your email. That's how we can become better friends. Most often than not, I think in those opt-ins, when you're putting your email in and saying, yes, I have permission to email you, is there's a thing that says, yes, please. It's really intentional. The reason it says, yes, please, is because you're making a commitment to yourself. You're saying yes. And it's a micro commitment. So you're going, okay, yes, I'm ready to do this. And then please, because it is a prayer that you're saying to yourself. I believe prayer is a whole bunch of different things, and please, thank you are all prayers. And so, yes, please is a micro intention of you moving forward, not being stuck and frustrated. There's only so far you can get between you and your journal. Keep doing it, but reach out to someone you trust. I'd be honored if that person became me. But if you just want to be better friends, dive into who I am and what I do, visit the website and share your email with me so I can send you irregular emails. If I'm doing it once a month, I'm really proud of myself. Most of my work is not public. The podcast is actually the most public effort that I have. The majority of my effort, like more than 80% of my time and attention and love and care go directly into my students in Within University. Within University is the sister cousin to this podcast, and we talk about the same things just in a different way. We travel in seasonal journeys of discovery together, and those journeys I customize every single season specifically for my people based on what I see that they want and need and where we can have the most fun. So if playing with others in a group is your thing, then that's where you can go. Otherwise, there's really limited spots because I don't have a lot of time for you and I to work one-on-one, but you'll find all of that on the website. I'm happy you're here. And this is kind of an interesting episode. what I want to do is share a story with you and how my mind or my perspective changed about something. And I don't have a lot of notes, which makes this a little bit nerve-wracking for me, because typically I have at least, a framework of what I want to share and tools and reflective practices and those kinds of things that you are invited then to explore on your own. But it seems like this episode is really just me sharing my experience and how I came through it. So recently our family has gotten super big into mountain biking. And I took advantage of having an opportunity to be coached by a super amazing coach. And if you're interested in mountain biking, definitely reach out to me, especially if you're in the Northwest Arkansas area. The people from Walmart, I understand that they really built out the trails there, and it has been my favorite trail system across the United States that we visited. It's just amazing. And so there are guides that can take you through the trails, and obviously coaches who can help you learn how to mountain bike better. And I'm always up for coaching and learning how to be better. So I took advantage of a whole day with a coach. He was amazing. If you need a coach in that area, I'd love to recommend him. So send me an email at vivian@viviancarrasco.com and I will. One of the things that I realized after a full day of working with him is that I was actually learning to find my center, the center of my balance. And throughout the drills, the very exhausting, very tiring drills that we did all day, very thought through though, amazing work. That was the practice, is finding my center and then practicing getting there again and getting there again and getting there again. And the reason this is important to share with you is because a few years ago when I was starting the university and this teaching, a few years into it, I started to actually have conversations with some of my students and folks that stay in regular connection with me. And I asked them, what are you looking for? Like, what is it that you're searching for? Because what I think I'm teaching and what people are hearing from me are often two different things. And the language that comes back at me is very different than what I say. So I was then, and I still am, very interested in hearing exactly what brings you here. Finding more peace, finding more balance, finding more, whatever it is, like, feel free to share that with me. I'd love to fine tune, customize. I'd love to dedicate a specific episode in the future to exactly what you are curious about. So feel free to share that with me. One of the answers that I got from someone when I asked that type of question was that they were looking for that unshakable core, the part of them that never gets frustrated or loses their cool. And I listened intently, and then I thought to myself personally, that doesn't exist for us because we're human and we're going to move through ups and downs, emotions like the sky passing through us. We're human, and so we've got to be human. And so there is no unshakable core. Even though after my car accident, my near-death experience, I did lose a lot of the fear and focus on what the world thought of me, and was able to really super align super fast to my core goals, my core values, and what I wanted to create in the world. The opportunity I had to create something beautiful in the world happened after that car accident. And I think that would have taken me probably another 10 or 20 years to move through, but it happened super fast. So outside of like a traumatic event, like something kicking you out of the bird's nest to say, where you have to fly, I didn't think that there was really a way to tap into that unshakable core. And then through this coaching for my mountain bike, I experienced it and I've changed my mind. We have a center. Lots of spiritual teachers talk about it in different ways. Teresa of Avila talks about it like the interior castle, right? The layers and layers that get deeper and deeper. And I believe that we can get deeper and we can find a stillness, but not this unshakable core. And as we were moving through the drills, those 6 words or 7 words really stayed with me. Find your center and practice being there. And it didn't matter what kind of drill we were doing. When I found my center, the exercise, whatever the drill was, became super simple. It required less effort and it moved me in a way that I had intended. If that was taking a sharp turn, or if I was moving through an obstacle. I mean, it was exciting to physically practice moving through my center, finding that balance and being right there. Whether it was making sure that my body was aligned with the center of the bike, or that I was, because I don't know how to explain it better than that. I hope I'm doing an okay job. Imagine that as you're meditating, imagine that as you're walking, imagine that as you're moving forward in any effort, that there is a place, a physical space that aligns you so that it becomes easier. When the ways that I moved into it as I was doing these drills was, it was so tiring. But I remember breathing, trying to clear my mind, knowing, like visualizing what I wanted myself on the bike to do, sort of speeding up enough to get through the drill to get it done, and then letting go. Not physically letting go of the handlebars, but letting go of that outcome, letting go of trying to tell my body what to do, and letting myself kind of do the thing. And it was, I don't know what word to use other than magical. It was so exciting to move through a drill and go through those steps and see myself improve. It was really, really exciting to do that. One of the ways that I remember doing it is, like I said, as I would come up, I would let the instructions of my mind, like, stop telling my body instructions. Just find the center and stay there, right? Practice being there. All of that was feeling. None of that was thinking. When I was in the drill, or even when I was taking the downhill, none of it was thinking. It was feeling. And it was amazing to have that day of drills and then take for me, it was DHL 6, and experience it so completely different than the way I had experienced it before the drills. This is what structured experiences, meditation, and any of the hundreds of methods of self-reflection can get you through. They expand your ability to function in your center. Maybe not on a downhill, but in a meeting, in a conversation that involves conflict, in a conversation where you're expressing a truth that might not want to be heard, or where you're trying to establish a boundary of some kind. It develops this like active awareness of how to feel into something, and you cultivate it through drills. I cultivated it in that soccer field through bike drills. But we do that for our mind and for our body in meditation, or in journaling, or in the thousands of other ways that we can reflect. The other thing that I remember about that experience, and this is super cool, and this is not a plug for coaches or therapists or anyone else, it is just a truth. We need a mirror. Right now, without a mirror, try to see your own nose. Mine looks kind of weird when I'm crossing my eyes. But if I have another person show me a mirror, then I can actually see my nose better. The other thing that was super cool, because sometimes I doubt myself in this work. I really shouldn't, because I've seen so much evidence come from the work that I do. But it's human nature to go through periods of doubt. After this experience with this coach, I thought, man, this is spot on. The other thing that he did is that he recognized my mistakes before I did, or when I did, right? In my mindset, I didn't keep my feet on 12 and 2, right? My right leg dropped a little. I wasn't as fast as I should have been. I was too fast. I needed to slow down. And he could see that, and he could reflect that back to me. So if you're learning to find your center and practice being there, it's okay to do it on your own in journaling and with meditation and all these other ways that we can self-reflect, but we also need to do it in community and with groups. And it's a way to invest in ourselves and in our relationships. Investing that time with that coach got me better, and that's cool. And so when I took that downhill ride, I was so badass. I was so proud. I wish I had had my husband's GoPro on so that he could have seen me go through this trail like nothing. I mean, it was like butter. And it was a pretty difficult trail in my experience. And the excitement was so like as I was getting towards the end, I didn't know where I was on the trail. I didn't recognize the markers, but I could hear at one point the traffic. And I knew that if I was near the traffic, I was getting towards the end. And I had to pull over and stop and say, wait, I need a breath. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm just so excited that I did so well. And it was so fun to celebrate that progress with my coach. So that was so far, I know that it's feeling, overthinking, that my coach recognized my mistakes when I did and when I couldn't. So they provided a mirror. And that I had to be the one who was responsible for what my learning edge was. Because I'm a really touchy-feely kind of person, there was a point where I knew that I was learning something, but it had pushed me from learning into overwhelm. And I said, hold on, I need to take a break. I actually have to release some emotion right now, so I'm going to cry. True story. I said, this isn't anything personal, nothing against your coaching. I really just need to let this emotion out. As I felt overwhelmed by the progress that I had made, because I recognized that I had actually learned a new skill, and that was exciting. I had passed through that sort of focused attention and drilling, and I'm like, oh, I got it. Oh my gosh. But in that moment, I had to stop, release that, probably celebrate it in some way, even though I was crying. So that's another thing that I want to reflect back to you. You are responsible for what your learning edge is and how fast you go towards whatever it is that you're trying to master. I love how this experience can sort of relate to anything that we're doing in life. The other thing, and this is really cool, right before we took DH6, downhill 6, the Leatherwood trails, in case you ever want to go there. Right before I took off, he said, let the bike do its thing. Eyes up. So I had to look where I wanted to go. And I learned this before through David. And there's a YouTube video. I'm actually going to make a note to put this in the show notes about the obstacles and how I reflected on that experience about when we focus on our obstacles, that's where we'll go. So with race car drivers, they tell them don't look at the wall, look where you want to be, because that's where you'll automatically take it. It's the same with a bike. I think it's the same with skates and skateboards and anything that you're taking on two wheels in addition to your feet and your intention. Don't focus on that thing that is keeping you from getting there. Focus on where you want to go. The thing that's taking you there will do its thing, whether it's your brain, the bike, a car. Let it do its thing. It knows what it needs to do. We did this one practice where he would push the bike and I would watch the bike as it would naturally kind of move to the left or move to the right. So right before I took off, he said, let the bike do its thing, eyes up. And I did that. And it was exciting. It was so exciting. And I thought it was significant enough to come back to the podcast and share it with you so that maybe you can apply this to whatever it is you're trying to master. Oh, I have a little thought experiment. And this thought experiment comes from Yancey Strickler. It's an exercise that you can do with your family and friends. And the question for this thought expansion exercise is, if no one had to work, what would you do with your time? As a way to bring attention into where you're going. Find your center and practice being there. Feel your way there versus think your way there. It helps when someone else is journeying with you because they can help you recognize your mistakes or help you get there faster or just drill you into whatever it is that's going to help you master that thing that you're trying to master. Because we move through life with more passive awareness, and it's this active awareness of where our center is, and practicing being there that cultivates more of that capacity. Like I started when I opened this podcast, I didn't believe at the time when I was having that conversation with that person that we have this unshakable core. But now I do. I believe that it's there and that we have to continuously look for it, find it, and then practice staying there. And we were going to get off our center just because we're traveling through life. But we can go back to it. So there is an author, her name is Ida Benedetto. She talks about patterns of transformation. She wrote a book called, actually I think it was an essay or a dissertation I'm hoping to invite her to the podcast at some point, called Designing Sex, Death, and Survival in the 21st Century. And the quote that I pulled from her book was, or her article was, when your life is falling apart and you need anchors, if you approach transformation through designed experiences, the transition is more likely to succeed. There are 3 categories that she outlined in her work. The first is the sandbox. So in a sandbox, you have boundaries and you have the freedom to play inside of them. And the example she used is Fortnite. The example I like to use for my own self is within university. It is a sandbox that I play in that has the boundaries of I will share a seasonal journey of discovery with the community. The freedom is that I get to pick what that is based on the season, the people, and where we are and what we need. Another category is the quest, and that's where you earn a specific reward. The example she used was Pokemon. So if you need to add a reward to your practice, then do that. At the end of my day of drilling, my reward, drilling in these mountain bike skills, my reward was taking that DH6 with my coach behind me, able to see how I navigated the hill, the trail. And then the third category is the cycle, which is a series of loops, goals to perform better each time. This is like Pac-Man. You get better at Pac-Man every time you go through it. And I went through those drills as a cycle, hoping to get better every single time I went through it, and then to show off or get my reward on my skills, personally to myself as I was going down DH6. You can tap into any of these 3 or all 3 as ways to anchor yourself through your own transformation, as a way to establish a pattern for yourself. So I just want to go over these last points, these points that I reviewed about my coaching experience, the insights that I garnered from learning how to be a better mountain biker. And obviously the most important one is that we can practice being in our center. We have to find it. It's there and it's accessible. As we're moving through life, as I was moving on my bike, I had to find the center of me and my bike. We need to find the center of us and whatever experience we're in or whatever relationship we're in or whatever, activity, task we have in front of us. I did that by feeling my way there versus thinking my way there. There has to be something that cultivates you letting go of your thinking. There are 1,000 methods to do this. Structured experiences, meditations, prayers. Find what fits for you and just do it. When I went to visit my grandmother, this last time she was knitting, and I asked her who she was knitting for. And she said, I'm knitting the blanket. It was for one of my second or third cousins, a baby boy. She said, but the reason that I do it is that it clears my mind. It stops the noise. So find whatever practice stops the noise for you. For my grandmother, it's knitting as one practice, but it can be anything. Whatever boxes you have around what's going to open you to your center, allow yourself to recreate that and reimagine that. It could be washing dishes. It could be walking. I just invite you to find something that clicks for you and spend time there. Invest your time in that. And then finally, my coach helped me recognize my mistakes on the bike. Being witnessed by a person or by a group or by someone you trust is helpful because we can't go through this alone. And then I had to be responsible for my own emotions and what my learning edge was. I had to decide, I need to take a break here, whatever it was. And so you maintain 98% of the responsibility around it in anything. And I say that because in the very beginning of my transformation, I pointed fingers at a lot of people instead of taking responsibility for my own change, for my own transformation, for making the things happen that I needed to happen. It was more of a projection on other people than accepting responsibility for what I needed. So that's just a thought that I'm throwing at you in case that applies to you. And then finally, let the bike do its thing and keep your eyes up, looking where you want to go. So that's the insight that I want to share with you from my mountain biking experience. I really hope that this episode and this podcast is helping you navigate change better. helping you become the person that you want to be, or even giving you answers to the questions that you're asking. And if you're not getting those answers, reach out to me. Like I said, I'd love to customize one of these for you to help you find your answers if I have an experience around that. Because you are your own best teacher. You know, just like I was in the mountain bike experience, I was teaching myself through my experience of doing those drills. We can have a coach standing over us, you know, as we're doing the push-ups, but no one can do those push-ups for us. We have to do them ourselves. If you are interested in diving deeper into my body of work, then please visit viviancarrasco.com or within University, where we grow together. And finally, I just want to tell you that investing time in yourself is going to be worth it. May peace be with you in all ways.